Hey everyone, I'm Renee, a designer here at the Quilted Cow. Today we're going to be working on our Southern Charm baskets. The pattern is a helpful heifer. It makes two of them, a small one and a large one. You can find it at thequiltedcow.com. Before we get started, I would like to thank our sponsors. We've got our sewing machines from Husqvarna Viking, Wilmington Prints for our fabric, and Creative Grids for our rulers and rotary cutter. Let's get started. So with the Southern Charm baskets, it would have a multitude of reasons to use it. You can put a mason jar candle in it. You can hold sewing supplies. You could put gifts in it. It's just super handy and super cute. It's part of the Helpful Heifer series that you can find on the website at thequiltedcow.com. We're going to go straight into the large one. It will make the small one too, and you have charm packs that you're going to use, or you can cut them down to 2.5-inch squares if you're using the yardage. So for the large one, you do 6 across, 3 down, and for the smaller one, you're going to do 6 across and only 2 rows down. So this row will go away when you do your smaller one. But we're going to work on the larger one today. I have the smaller one over here that you're going to get to see the peak of too. You can either go ahead and put your fusible fleece on it, have it down. If you want to quilt it or stitch it to make them look even more pretty, feel free to do that. For our bottoms, for both of them, the small and the large, you're going to do 4 squares together. The dimension for the circle that you need at the bottom is on your pattern. I went ahead on this one and cut out my fleece, and I'm just going to cut around and even up those squares for my bottom square. And then for the lining part, I just drew out my circle onto my lightweight. So this is for my lining, and that's going to be for my charm basket. So I'm going to fold this in half. And on the short edge, I'm just going to sew right down the edge there. And you're going to do the same with your lining. Fold it in half, right side together, and on this side only, sew straight down it. And if you already had your small, you could have just went ahead and thrown that in there too. So I'm going to give this a press. Now we want to sew our circle bottom. And to sew the circle bottom, what I do is I fold it in half and mark my half within my seam allowance. You can use any kind of marker because you're not going to be able to see it. And then I'm going to use this as my center. So where I did my seam, it's going to be one side, and then the other side, I'm just going to mark that center too. Now this is going to shift around a little bit during the process of it because, you know, not all the time can we get that perfect center. But with it right sides together, you can see when you're on the inside, the right sides are going to be together. I take one of my center marks and put it on that seam and pin it. And then I take the other side and do the same thing. So here's my mark, and there's my mark. This just gets your circle bottom started. Now I'm going to go around and pin. You cannot use enough pins. All right, so there's my liner, and just fill around. Make sure you don't, came off the edge or have any puckers or missed seams. And then when you turn it, this is how it's going to look. And I usually just go around and finger press. Just go all the way around that circle and finger press. And you're going to repeat the same thing with your exterior that you did with your liner. The only difference is I use these lines as my center. This is what I've done with my smaller ones. I'm at the point to where here's my exterior, here's my interior. I turned my exterior right side out. I've got my lining with the wrong side out, and I want to feed to where the seam where you joined it is where the seam that you joined the lining. So that way you know that they're somewhat straight. And we're going to just poke all of that in there. Sometimes you got to roll it a little bit to get it all tucked down in there, because you want these top edges to be even. And if you're going to do your tabbies, we have webbing that we're going to use today, but I'm going to show you how you can make your own tabs. So if you take the measurements in your Helpful Heifer pattern, I'm just going to crease it to where I can see it, and then I'm going to put my lightweight away from the edges so it reduces bulk right on that crease I just made. And then fold those edges in. You can have this raw edge. It's fine because it's going to get hid in the seam. Refold it. And then you want to top stitch both sides. I'm going to top stitch one side of it to show you how to do it. So there it is. And then I would do the same thing over on the other side, but we're just going to use the webbing. So find where you want the centers. So I'm going to let this, where the seams are, be my back. So I'm just going to pinch this together. And I'm just going to put a little pin here to mark it. I'm not even going to put ink on it. I just want to know where to put my webbing, or if you have your tab. So if it's a tab or a webbing, you're going to fold it in half to where those raw edges are together. And then on one of your pins, where you mark that center, open and slide that webbing in between the main and the liner. Just like that. And then do the same on the other side. Fold your tab or your webbing, raw edges together, and then tuck it in between with that raw edge lined up with your other raw edges. And then we're going to sew around this top, but in the front here, I don't know, about a couple of inches. I'm going to leave it open to turn it for later. Now, if you want, you could have left it on the side, but for me, especially on the smaller one, there's not enough room there to be able to leave a big enough opening. So I'm going to do it on the top, and we can close that up on the final step. All right, so here it is. I'm going to find where I left my opening, and now we're just going to turn both of those. If you find that you didn't leave a big enough opening, you can always take your seam ripper and just pop a few more of those stitches out. And that goes for the lining too. If you decide you want to turn it with your liner and you've already did your liner, Just reach in there and pop a few of those seams out. There we go. I'm going to poke out these circles. And now I'm going to poke my liner down into my main. And everything looks good. If you're happy with it, if you have any puckers, see, I kind of went off here, but that's okay. I'm just going to go ahead, fold those in just like if you was closing the lining. And if you did use your lining to do your turn, you can always right now go ahead and pull that out. But we're still going to do a top stitch right around this top edge. And there you have it. That's the small bag. And you're going to do the same process with your large bag. Isn't it super cute? I love these little charms. And it just gives it so much character, and you can make it scrappy. So let's pull these back out. See, the small and the large, if you do the same process that we just done, you'll have it too. It's part of the Helpful Heifer series. I love our Helpful Heifer series. You can view every one of them at thequiltedcow.com. Please like our page, like this video, be a subscriber so you can always get back to our tutorials, and thanks for watching.
Okay, you wicked cool quilters, good job. You made it to the end. We would like to thank our sponsors, Husqvarna Viking Sewing Machines, Creative Grids, rulers, rotary cutters, and mats, and Wilmington Prints for the beautiful fabrics. Thanks for watching.